Hello, dear students. I hope you all are fine. I welcome you all to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes. I am your friend and mentor. We have already started with our chapter, that is Living World of class 11th. Already 3 lectures are completed and we are with the fourth lecture in a series. And in this lecture, we will be starting with the new topic, that is the taxonomical aids. And in this taxonomical aids, we will be talking about the conservation and preservation strategies. In previous lecture, we have studied several things of the living world, like nomenclature, characterization, the rules of classification, and the arrangement, categories, taxon, all this we have done. But here we are continuing with a new topic, that is taxonomical aids. So, first question and foremost question is, what is taxonomical aids? So see, you know that if we classify any organism, we have to pass on this information to the next generation. So storage of that is important. So that storage mechanism will be discussed here. And here we will talk about herbarium, but before that I want to make you understand one thing. There are two types of strategies to particularly store this data. One is conservation strategy, another one is the preservation strategy. Now, what are conservation strategy? First, we understand that conservation strategy are those strategy which conserves the living organism, And if we talk, then what are preservation strategy? Preservation is done of a non-living things or the dead things. In the continuous, we will talk about two types of conservation strategies, that is botanical gardens and zoological parks. But apart from that, we will be discussing the preservation strategies, which include the preservation of non-living parts or non-living things, and that is herbarium and museum. And later on, we will discuss several recorded description or names of the books. So dear students, let's start with our first strategy, that is herbarium, and it is a preservation strategy. Now student, if we talk here, herbarium is what? It is considered that it is a storehouse. Suppose if in your house or in university or in any school or in any institute, if you create a one storehouse and we put some of the plant specimen that are dried, pressed and preserved on the sheets, and you arrange them in a particular sequence, then that is considered as a herbarium. So it is what? It is a storehouse of what? Collected plant specimen that are dried, pressed and preserved on the sheets. And you can see in here in this diagram like this, that this is the herbarium sheet, particularly this is the herbarium where you will find a storehouse like thing, and this is the what, particularly you can see that is the proper herbarium which is made, and that is the herbarium sheet. Okay, so here first we will be discuss how to create a herbarium, how to make a herbarium, how to store it, what is the accepted system of classification, that all we are going to discuss in this part. So this is the first thing, that is a technique of herbarium, and this technique includes that how to form, how to frame, how to design and how to form this particular herbarium shape having a plant specimen. So see, if I am researching on some plant, then I have to locate that plant and I have to pass on the information of this plant to the next generation. So in that, what first we did, the first thing we did, that is a collection. Okay, And in collection, what we will do, we will do one thing. Whatever the plant I was studying on which, I will go and collect the plant part of 20 to 25 centimeter length. I will collect the twig. Now during collection you have to be cautious that that plant part should be healthy, and twig must consist of a stem axis with the some of the leaves. It should be free from the microbes that is collected, and that is collected in a polythene bag or a metallic vasculum. When I collect that particular plant specimen, I will collect that plant specimen in a polythene bag or a metallic vasculum. One metal chamber is created to take this particular one. Now why it is taken in collected in the polythene bag or metallic vasculum? Because to preserve the moisture. Then after collecting that particular plant, I will take that metallic vasculum polythene bag with the plant specimen to my lab. And after reaching a lab, what I will perform? I will perform a drying, means I will remove all the moisture which is present in that plant specimen, which is having a stem and the leaves. Now, this drying is performed in a newspaper folder, means I will take a newspaper, and between newspaper I will keep that plant specimen. Newspaper will soak or absorb the water content, and the plant specimen will be dried. After drying, this dried specimen will be poisoned to remove some of the insects or some of the microbes which still are attached with that particular plant specimen. And this poisoning, that is the third step, is done with the help of 0.1% HCl2. And when HCl2 particularly carry out this poisoning, then all the microbes which are still attached get removed out. Then I will keep this poisoned plant specimen on the particular herbarium sheet. Now dear students, please note down the size of the herbarium sheet, that is a 41 by 29 centimeter square. What is this? 41 by is a length, and the width is, or particularly is a 29 centimeter. So to place this plant specimen on the herbarium sheet is a mounting. Then after this I will stitch that plant specimen on the herbarium sheet, and that is known as stitching. Now its stitching is done by the pins or by pasting a glue behind, okay, and then we perform a labeling. After stitching we will put a label, and that is known as labeling, and labeling is done on the right hand side lower corner, where it is done on the right hand side lower corner. And after doing it on the right hand side lower corner, I will deposit this particular herbarium sheet in the, particularly we can say, herbarium based on the accepted system of classification. So ultimately the herbarium will look like this. Herbarium will look like this. You can see this is a plant specimen having a stem axis, having a leaves, and label on the right hand side lower corner. Now, so this process involves what? Now you understood. The herbarium technique involves first collection, then drying in a newspaper folder, then poisoning with the HCl2, then mounting, stitching, labeling, and deposition. But the question which was asked earlier in NEET, that was with respect to labeling. One question they can frame, that is what is the correct sequence. Another question that is which they have asked, that is, in a label which of the following is not kept in label. So first we should know that what things are included in this label. So you can see here in label, first thing which is kept, that is what? A date of collection. What? A date of collection. And after date of collection, then we write a place of collection. After place of collection is from where the plant specimen was taken. Then English name. Then vernacular name. See, vernacular name is a local name. Then botanical name. Then family name. And then name of the collector. These 7 things are kept in. Now I hope you are confused with this. What is the difference between English name and botanical name? See, vernacular name is a local name. Whatever the local name is given in your area, that will be, suppose mango is whatever the mango is called in your area, that is its local name or vernacular name. But mango is an English name, and a Mangifera indica is a botanical name or scientific name. Then you have to write a family name, in which family belongs. Like potato belongs to the Solanaceae, then we have to write the Solanaceae family. And the last, the credit goes to the collector, and we have to add the name of the collector. So one time they have asked the question and kept 3 options from this, and they have asked that which of the following is not included in label. 3 options are among this 7, but another one option was that there is a height of the plant. So you know that height of the plant is not included in label, so it is the correct answer. So dear student, I hope you have understood this herbarium technique. Now, herbarium, if we see, they are the integral part of botanical gardens. Herbarium are considered as a quick source of reference, because if I want to know the information of any plant, I can take out a particular herbarium sheet and read the information. So it is quickly available. So it is known as what? Quick source of reference. Apart from that, herbarium can be of a small level or can be of a large level. Suppose it can be small as your school, university, or it can be up to the large level like the national and international level. Some particular herbarium are a part of the botanical garden. So we will be studying that botanical garden in this one. One botanical garden is that there is a Royal Botanical Garden, Kew, England. It has a herbarium, and that herbarium over 60 lakh species. So you can understand how many specimens are there. So that much large herbarium can be there, and you should remember 2 things. That is the most important thing: what is label included in label, and what is the size of herbarium sheet. And the third statement which I told you just now, that is a quick source of reference. These are the most important question, and obviously you have to remember this sequence. Then this is the first preservation strategy. After this, next we are going to talk about botanical gardens. See, this is the conservation strategy, means it is here living plants are conserved. But it is a ex situ conservation. Ex situ means what? Offside their original habitat. If suppose one plant is growing internally, it is originally developed internally, but if I take that particular plant and grow in another area, then it is a off-site conservation, ex situ conservation. When we visit any botanical garden, you will find that on each plant of botanical garden, one label is placed, and that label has 2 things, that is a botanical garden or scientific name and the family name. Okay, so this is the botanical garden ex situ conservation, you should know that. And here in botanical garden, some of the names are given, like Royal Botanical Garden, which is located in England, Kew. Then National Botanical Garden, we call it as a NBG, that is located in Lucknow. Indian Botanical Garden is located in Howrah, Kolkata, and Lloyd Botanical Garden is located in the Darjeeling. Okay, so it is an ex situ conservation of plants only. Then next we talk about zoological park. It is again a one ex situ conservation, but it is a conservation strategy of animals. Here only animals are conserved. This we call zoological park commonly as zoos, and here wild animals are kept in protected environment. Here wild animals we keep. I hope you have visited the zoos in your nearby areas, and there are wild animals like tiger, lion, elephant, all these are kept. So how they help? They help us to serve or deal a means of to study and learn different food habit and behavior of animals. Okay, okay, ideal means to study and learn different food habits and behavior of animals. We have to study the different food habits and behavior of animals. Among this, National Zoological Park, Delhi is one of the finest zoo in Asia. So you remember this is a large one. Okay. So zoological park is also. Now one more thing, one more statement I need to add here. In zoological park, I hope you have seen that there are caves are created, some big separated areas are created for the different animals. Why it is such like where some plants are grown there? Why it is such like this? Because in zoological park we try to give the habitat similar to their original habitat, because they can reproduce better, they can grow better, and they can survive better. So there is a need of nature conditions similar to the natural environment in case of zoological park. Next to zoological park, we will study a fourth strategy, and it is a preservation strategy, and it is a museum. Now you know that museum is a preservation strategy, so obvious non-living things are kept here, and it is a place which is used for storage, preservation, and exhibition of both plant and animals. We remember, both and plant and animal specimens for the study and a reference are stored, preserved, and exhibited here. Now what happens sometimes some of the organism or specimens are kept in a container or jar in a preservative solution, and commonly used preservative solution is a formalin. So I hope in your schools you have visited sometimes a particular bottle is there in that lizard is placed in a one solution and it's locked, so that solution is nothing but a formalin which prevent the decay of that particular organism. Now how to preserve this particular different organism in a museum? So it is an insect which are collected, killed, and pinned and preserved in insect boxes. Okay, these are collected, killed, and pinned and preserved in insect boxes. The larger animals like reptiles, birds, mammals are stuffed then preserved. Larger animals like reptiles, birds, and mammals are stuffed and then preserved. Okay, stuffing is the removal of organ, then placing a powder in that, and then particularly rolling them with a bandage, then it is a stuffing. In a museum, it is known that skeleton of some larger animals can also be preserved. Okay, human skeleton can also be preserved. So it is a museum which is a particularly one of the important preservation strategy. I hope you have visited several museums, and one of the name of the museum is given here in Delhi, which is a famous one, that is a National Museum of Natural History. Okay, dear students, so this is the about a museum, that is a preservation strategy and the conservation strategy. Next to that, we talk about the fifth particularly strategy in case of taxonomical aids, and that is taxonomical key. Dear students, it's a very good interesting topic, and sometimes you will get questions from this. Taxonomical key is artificially designed, one artificially designed device. It is analytical analysis. We have to use our brain, and it help to help in identification. Identification is the second step of classification in taxonomy. So it helps in the identification of plant and animals. Now what happens if we see any key? In any key, it consists of two alternate characters of plants and animals. Two alternate characters, if we talk, two alternate characters, one is favoring and one is not favoring the particular situation, then the pair of these two contrasting characters is known as couplet, and one statement out of this couplet will be lead. So means two lead combined to form one couplet, and it is known that there are separate taxonomic keys have been created for different categories. Okay, so it is artificially designed, analytical device. Two statement contrasting pair is known as couplet, one statement is known as. And And here I am showing the one example of the key. Actually, information for NEET is sufficient in the previous slide, but we have to just talk about the key. In key here you can see 1A and 1B, that is one favoring gram positive cell and one is not favoring gram negative cells. So if gram positive cell is there, then we write in front of gram positive cell, that is a gram positive bacteria. But they are not. If there is no, then this gram positive bacteria is a gram negative cell should be rod shaped cell. So in front of gram negative bacteria you can see the 2 is written, and in 2A they have written rod shaped cells and non rod shaped cells. Rod shaped cells, if yes, then it will lead to the third one, that is it can tolerate oxygen. And if it is non rod shaped, or it is not a rod shape, that is a non rod shaped, and non rod shaped are cocci and pleomorphic bacteria. You can see in this example. So such a way this keeps on going, but no one will ask you this bracketed key or branching key. Generally in NEET they ask for questions from this only, that pair of contrasting character is couplet, one character is lead. For what it is useful? It is useful for the identification, and that is the thing. Okay, so this is the key. Next we look over some of the recorded description. These are the simple interesting things. Simple things you have to go through, just go through this. One is flora. So what is flora? Flora is just a book which has information of plant of a particular area, and mainly flora gives information of habitat and distribution of plants in a given area. It gives information of habitat and distribution of plants of a given area. And another one is the manual one. Manual is a complete listing of and description of a plants of a given area. Now flora has a what? Two information, habitat and distribution of plants. But a manual has a complete listing and description of plant of a given area. And this manual provide information for the identification names of various species. It is having a listing of the names of several species. You can see in the diagram the manual of plant nutrition. Okay, and flora of Melbourne means it consists of flora consists of plants of that particular Melbourne area, and two important events are written. Apart from this, if any book has information of only one taxon, then that book will be considered as a monograph. Suppose here it is given plant cell monograph, means it is the information of plant cell only, not apart from that. So it is having only one taxon, that is a monograph. Apart from that, the last one is a catalog, and catalog having a particular alphabetical arrangement of species of particular area, describing their feature. We describe their feature as well, and it is an alphabetical arrangement of species. Alphabetically all species have been arranged. Okay, dear students, so this is the thing for the what taxonomical aids. It is simple. Mainly you have to remember the preservation and the conservation strategy, and this is the some of the few knowledge about this particular aids. So dear students, after discussing this taxonomical aids, let's talk about some of the questions which I have already asked in earlier examinations, earlier NEET from this chapter. So first we are dealing with the first question, that which one of the following aspect is an exclusive characteristic of living things? So dear students, we are going to talk about exclusive characteristic, means it should be the defining property of an organism. Means it should not be present in any non-living one, and in living also there must not be any exception. So first option is given is perception of event happening in the environment and their memory. Okay, means it is somewhat related to the consciousness. Second one is an increase in mass by accumulation of material both on the surface as well as internally, means it is talking about a growth, and that is both type of growth, that is extrinsic and intrinsic growth. So it is not possible as a defining property or exclusive characteristic of living things. Isolated metabolic reaction occur in vitro, means it is a non-living but living reaction. Okay, but it is not clearly living, so it cannot be defined as a metabolism. And fourth, increase in mass from inside only. So increase in mass from inside only is an intrinsic growth, and yes, intrinsic growth is a defining property. We have studied it is found exclusively in case of living being. So fourth is a correct answer. First statement was explaining obviously both to the consciousness, but in consciousness there is a no point of memory, just perception of the event. That is the consciousness. So that is also incorrect. So only fourth is the correct answer. And apart from intrinsic growth, other defining properties are like metabolism, consciousness, and cellular organization. Okay, so I hope you understood. Next question. Next question is, which of the following is not a correct statement? Dear students, we have to identify incorrect statement. So let's talk about each and every statement. First statement: botanical gardens have collection of living plants for reference. Yes, it is absolutely correct. Why? Yes, they have a collection of living plants. Second, museum has a collection of photographs of plant and animals. Third, key is a taxonomic aid for identification of specimens. And fourth, herbarium houses dried, preserved, praised and preserved plant specimen. So by reading this all four statements, you can find that museum has a collection of plant and photographs of plants and animals. Okay. So that is the actually incorrect one, because museum is not related with the collection of, they have a specimens, non-living specimens itself. Yes, there can be a photograph, but it is not their role. So it become an incorrect one. Apart from that, the living organism can be unexceptionally distinguished from the non-living things on the basis of their ability for. Dear students, the living organism can be unexceptionally distinguished from the living, means we have to talk about defining property here as well. And the given options are growth and movement, responsiveness to touch, interaction with the environment and progressive evolution, and reproduction. Here interaction is obvious there, but progressive evolution is not a part of exclusive property of living organism. Reproduction is not a defining property. So responsive touch, there is a consciousness become defining property. So it is found unexceptionally in living compared to the non-living ones. Okay. Next question, the simplest question, ICBN. ICBN is an international code of botanical nomenclature. We remember it is a botanical nomenclature, and it carry out a standardization of names of plant. Another one, ICNB, is also there, but that is for the nomenclature of bacteria. Okay, so international code of botanical nomenclature, that is the third one, is the correct one, and you should remember these are the easy ones. Let's talk about the next question. Two plants can be conclusively said to belong to the same species if they, yes, we have studied already a topic, that is biological concept of species. And in biological concept of species, we have studied that the individuals of one species particularly interbreed and give fertile offspring. So two plants can be conclusively said to belong to the same species if they, option 1, have the same number of chromosomes. No, it is not possible. They can reproduce freely with each other and form a seeds. Yes, if they are forming a seed, means that can be starting a next generation, so it is possible. Third, have more than 90% similar genes. Not possible. Only 0.1% differences are found, and look similar and possess identical secondary metabolites. It is also not there. So according to the biological concept of species, second is the correct answer, that individual of same species interbreed and give fertile offspring. The next question, the common characteristic between tomato and potato will be maximum at a level of their. Now see, common character. Now we have studied common character increases as we go downward, means from kingdom to the species in a descending order. So the lowest category has, particularly we can say, maximum, particularly characteristic, common characteristic between them. Now species is not given, so tomato and potato both belong to the same genus, that is Solanum. So genus become the correct answer. Okay, so I hope you understand what type of question can be asked. Next, taxonomic hierarchy refers to first stepwise taxonomic hierarchy. We have studied what it is, a sequence of taxonomic categories. So taxonomic hierarchy refers to stepwise arrangement of all categories for classification of plants and animals. Yes, it is possible. A group of senior taxonomists who decide the nomenclature of plant and animal. No, it does not include the names of this taxonomists. Third is the list of botanists or zoologists who have worked on taxonomy. No, there is no listing of zoologists or botanists. And fourth, classification of species based on fossil records. So here classification is not done, just it is explaining the all categories of classification of plants and animals, and that is taxonomic hierarchy. And that is the first is the correct answer. Apart from this, which of the following is the least general in character as compared to genera? So we have this also, we have studied that as we go downward as in a descending order, the general character get reduced, whereas general character are highest in case of the kingdom. So here species is the lowest category, so it has a least general character. So first is the correct answer. Okay, I hope you understood. Next question. One of the most important function of botanical garden is that, see, we have studied just that botanical garden is an ex situ conservation of plants. So first is it provide a beautiful area for recreation. One can observe tropical plants there, allow ex situ conservation of germplasm, and provide the natural habitat for wildlife. Yes, it is carrying out ex situ conservation of germplasm. That is the third is the correct answer, because it is conserving germplasm of some of the extinct, some of the endangered species. So that is one of the important function of this botanical garden. So dear students, I hope you have understood this, and these are the certain questions which are with respect to this particular living world, and I hope you have understood this in a proper way. So go and study NCERT class, your particularly reference books, whatever you have in detail, and then do a question, as many questions you can do. Okay, so now we will meet in the next lecture. Till that, okay, bye and be safe and do a good work. All the best. Thank you.